Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the online class, children. Class 9, Civics. What is democracy? Why democracy? So we already learned the two parts in the lesson. So in the previous session we have learnt about the important feature of democracy, that is free and fair election. Okay, free and fair electoral competition must offer uh, to the citizens of a democratic country. But now we move on to the next feature, that is one person, one vote, one value, and then rule of law and respect for rights. Let's see. One person, one vote, one value. So you know the meaning of this. So each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. So a true democracy grants its citizens right to vote, that is universal adult franchise. Yes, we enjoy the universal adult franchise. The person who above the age of 18, irrespective of the gender, religion, caste, and background, the government offers the equal voting right. That is what universal adult franchise. Okay, so listen, your children. Every adult citizen, listen, yeah. So every adult citizen must have one vote and that each vote must have one value. So this is what the democratic government grants to its citizens. It's known as universal adult franchise. So let's see what is universal adult franchise. So universal adult franchise means all the adults have right to vote. All the adults have right to vote without any discrimination based on sex, color, race, religion, caste or other. So the person who above the age of 18 have the right to vote without any discrimination based on sex, color, race, caste or the class. So each person can cast one vote. Each person can poll one vote. Each person can poll one vote. All the votes are counted. Okay. So you can see during the election day, your father, mother or your elder brother went to vote. And after the election overs, the election commission count the votes on a particular day. The person who won the majority seats in the election, they form and run the government. This is what the procedure. Okay. So each person can poll their vote on the election day. All the votes are counted. The person who gets the maximum number of seats, the maximum number of votes, it's elected. Okay. So this is what the procedure of the one person, one vote and one value. So each adults have equal voting right. Each adult have one vote. That vote is counted as a one value. Those who won the majority number of votes, they won the election. But here, there are many countries still now the equal rights are denied. There are many countries where the equal rights are denied. Okay, we are going to see those countries now. So there are many countries where the equal rights are denied. If we take the Saudi Arabia, women do not have the right to vote still now. So in Saudi Arabia, women do not have the right to vote. And then Estonia. Estonia has made its citizenship rules in such a way that people belonging to the Russian minority finds difficult to get the right to vote. So in Estonia, Russian minority people were there. Those Russian minority find it's difficult to get the right to vote. Okay. So this is what the citizenship rules are framed by the Estonia government. And then the next one, in Fiji, the electoral system is different. That the vote of the indigenous Fiji has more value than the Indian Fijians. So listen here. So here the electoral system is different from other countries. In Fiji, the vote of an indigenous Fiji means their own country people. Okay, so indigenous Fiji has more value than that of Indian Fijians. So Indian Fijians means the people from India who migrated and settled down in Fiji for the plantation work or some other work, they were called as the Indian Fijians. So people who migrated from India and settled down there in Fiji are called as the Indian Fijians. So look at the Fiji, the electoral system. The vote of an indigenous Fiji has more value than Indian Fijians. Okay. So we have just a minute. Yeah. So we gone through the three countries who deny the equal rights to its citizen. That is Saudi Arabia, women's position, and Estonia, Russian minorities position, and Fiji's Indian Fijian has what is that? The indigenous Fijians has more value than Indian Fijians. So still some other countries are there that were denied the equal rights to its citizens. So we are going to frame one more feature from these stories, that is, in democracy, each adult must have one vote and each vote must have one value. Okay, and now the next one, rule of law and respect for rights. So first we'll just understand about what is rule of law and respect for rights. Then we'll go for a uh, case story. Okay. So for the rule of law and the respect for the rights. So the state should respect some basic rights of the citizen. So the each state should respect some basic rights for the rights of the citizen. What are the basic rights of the citizens? People should feel free to think, to have opinion, to express their views in public, and also to form association, and also to protest. Okay, so state should respect some basic rights of the citizen. What are the basic rights? The people should feel free to think, free to express their opinion in public, free to form association, free to protest against the government. So everyone should be equal. Everyone should be equal in front of the law. Everyone should be equal in the eyes of the law. So this is what about the basic rights of the citizen. And now we move on to the story uh, about the Zimbabwe. Sorry, children. So here the Zimbabwe attained independence from the white minority rule in the year 1980s. So Zimbabwe attained independence from the white minority rule in the year 1980s. Okay. So ZANU-PF. Okay, ZANU-PF. It's a political party of Zimbabwe. Okay. So ZANU-PF means it's a Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front. So that is a full form of the ZANU-PF, Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front. So ZANU-PF is nothing but the political party, a party of Zimbabwe. So this party, ZANU-PF party, led the freedom struggle movement under the leadership of the Robert Mugabe. Okay, so ZANU-PF party led the freedom struggle movement under Robert Mugabe. Okay, so Robert Mugabe was a leader of the freedom struggle movement in Zimbabwe. Okay, so Mugabe was popular. Okay, Mugabe was popular and he rules the country since the independence. Okay, so it got independence in 1980. He led the freedom struggle of Zimbabwe, freedom struggle movement of Zimbabwe. Okay, so he ruled the country since the independence. Okay, and elections were held regularly. Elections were held regularly, but always Zimbabwe party won the election. So Mugabe was a popular in the sense he led the freedom struggle for the independence of Zimbabwe so that he became popular. So Mugabe was popular, but he also used the unfair practices to win the election. Okay, what were that unfair practices? We are going to see. Just a minute. Yeah. So here the constitution amended. Amended means changed. Okay. So here the constitution amended so many times. So constitution amended so many times to increase the power of the president Mugabe. Okay. So constitution amended so many times in Zimbabwe to increase the power of the president, who was the president at the time, Mugabe, and make him less accountable. So the opposition party workers are harassed and even their meetings were disrupted by the ruling party, and the public protest against the government are declared as illegal. Okay, so here listen your children. The opposition party workers were harassed and their meeting was disturbed by the Mugabe party, that is ZANU-PF party, and public protest against the government declared as illegal one. And also the television, radio are controlled by the government. Television, radio or control, even the media was under the control of the government only. Okay, but there were some independent newspapers. But the government harassed those journalists who goes against the government, who went against the government. Okay, so there were some independent newspapers, but the government harassed the journalist who went against the Mugabe rule, and lot of times the Mugabe no, he just ignored, the Mugabe government ignored the court judgments. Most of the time the Mugabe government ignored the court judgments, and court judgments which went against the Mugabe rule, And most of the time, the government to pressurize the judges to, okay, to give some favorable judgment. Most of the time, the Mohammed government pressurize the judges to. So here, what we learn from this Mohammed country, children, the Mohammed followed malpractices to win the election. He amended constitution so many times to increase the power of Mohammed. And opposition party workers were harassed and their was disturbed, and public protest against the government was declared as illegal. Television radio was under the control of Mohammed. And independent newspapers were harassed. Newspapers journalists were harassed, those who went against the Mohammed rule. And most of the times, the Mohammed government ignored the judgments gave by the judges and pressurized the judges too. So we can say that, can we say this Mohammed rule is a democratic rule? No, we can't say, because here there is no respect for the rights of the citizens. And the Mohammed government doesn't follow any laws which was prescribed by the constitution. He made some changes in the constitution to increase his power. Okay, so what we can do means we can derive a important feature from the Zimbabwe story, that a democratic governments should rules within the limits set by the constitutional law. So listen here. So democratic government rules within the limits set by the constitution law, and it also should respect the rights of the citizens. Okay. So it should respect the rights of the citizens too. So popularity is not only important to being a leader. So we have to analyze the rights of the people before and after the election. So listen here children. So if we want to assess the democracy, we need to analyze, we need to look at the country's election before and after period. Okay. So before a leader may be popular, and even the popular leader may come to power, but the popularity sometimes may go undemocratic. That's what we have learned in the Zimbabwe story. So Mugabe became a popular leader because he led the freedom struggle to attain independence. Even though he popular, what happened? The people elected him, but he went autocratic. He made lot of changes favorable to him, and he harassed opposition parties, and he took over the control of the media. And also we have to look at after the election whether the citizen rights are respected by that particular form of government or what. So a democratic government rules within the limits set by the constitution. They should not rule beyond the limits of the constitution. And the democratic government should respect the rights of the citizens too. Okay. So now take down the assignment children. What is the electoral system in Fiji? Who is the president of Zimbabwe? In which countries, even today, there is a denial of equal right to vote? Thank you, children.